Hi, I'm Shirley and I have made this wee quick tutorial for you to have a go at home. It's a 3-colour acrylic paint tutorial that I often teach to complete beginners just to show how easy it is to make a beautiful piece of art. So the 3 colours we need are red, yellow and black, and we don't have to do any pre-mixing here because we're going to do that on the canvas. So brushes, we need a large flat brush. You can get these in the works for £2 a pack of 3. We need a small flat brush and a detail brush, and these come in a pack for £3 from the same place, the works. We need a bristle brush, and again I think you get 3 of these for £1 in a pack from the works. You're going to need a pot of water, an old rag or some kitchen roll. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is just wet that brush. Now we don't want to use a whole lot of water with acrylic paint, especially the cheap paint here. So I'm going to dry that off and just start off with my brush nice and damp. I'm going to lift up a lump of red acrylic paint, as you can see. And I'm going to start up at the top of the canvas here, and I'm just going to put one band of red just across the top end. I'm using a side to side brush movement here, nice and easy. You don't have to sort of push your brush too hard. I'm going to wipe that off. I'm not using any water to clean the brush because I kind of want the red to mix in a bit here with the yellow. So I'm lifting a lump of yellow. I'm going to start a little tiny bit underneath the red here, and then I'm going to bring it up in. So side to side, I'm brushing my brush the whole way from one side to the other, taking it up to the top and down again. And to help with that line in between, I'm doing this crisscross kind of technique, just pulling the paint sideways, taking it up to the top, and I'm moving that side to side again. Just smoothing that off. So I'm going to just wipe away the surplus paint off the end of my brush here and just pull that right across. You want to go from one end right across to the other here, and that'll kill any brush marks you might have going across. Give the brush another wipe, and then we're going to lift up another lump of the yellow paint, and we're just going to come underneath, and again we're going to keep this side to side movement going. Get the yellow on there, taking it down about an inch from the bottom, and then we're going to move the paint back up in through the top end, come the whole way down again. And then we're going to crisscross here again, and this sort of kills those hard lines in between each colour and helps the paint blend in nice and soft. So I still have a little bit of yellow paint on the brush, and I'm going to lift up another bit of red here with it and come into the bottom now, and I'm going to work that bit of red up into the yellow. So I'll block in the bottom half here. And then I'm taking some more yellow paint and just coming over the top of that again. I'm going to crisscross upwards this time. Side to side. Crisscross this across the middle now where the yellow is. And all I'm doing here is just helping the paint kind of blend like softer together nicely. So now I'm just going to brush the whole way from the bottom right up to the top, and as you can see I've got that lovely kind of yellow glow going on there in the middle, and then we're going to let that dry. So now it's dried. You could have used a hairdryer there, of course. I'm going to rip off a piece of masking tape, and the only tip I have here is to buy a decent masking tape because the cheaper one kind of the paint leaks really bad underneath. So we're going to put that across the middle of the yellow area here, so it's sort of like the middle of the canvas. Give that a wee rub down. If your painting is perfectly dry here, that is not going to affect your paint at all when you pull that off. I'm using a flat-headed brush. This is the smaller one. My paint's a wee bit dry here because it's been sitting in the sun. So what we're going to do here with the black is we're going to wet that up a wee bit. So I'm just dipping the brush into the water and then letting some drips of water off the brush fall in and giving that a little pat about. I don't want my paint to be too runny here, but I want it to kind of move easier on the canvas, so just a little bit of water in there, giving the brush a nice clean before I start. It's always important to clean your brush if you're mixing paint with it before you actually start to put it on the canvas. So I'm using this brush. If you have a wee watch here, you'll see the kind of angle and shape that I'm holding this brush. Flat brushes are brilliant for cutting in clean lines. So I'm coming across here with a wiggly pattern, and these are going to be like some mountains in the background. Yours might not be the same shape as mine. You can make yours bigger if you like, but that's quite okay. So I'm just going to fill this all in with the black paint now. And I'm coming down slightly over the edge of the tape, obviously. So again, nice soft strokes with the brush, just to fill all of that area in. If you feel as if your paint's dragging as you're going through this at any point, just dip the brush in the water, rub a few wee drops back into the paint again, clean the brush, and then start again. So I want to make sure this is all blocked in nice with the black, so I'm just going over and just giving that another wee brush over. And then I'm just going to pull off the tape. And there you go, a clean line. So I'm just going to take another little bit of masking tape here. And this time I'm just taking a smaller piece, ripping that off. And I'm just going to come probably down about an inch or so, maybe more. Depends on the size of your canvas. I'm just using this small square one. Rub that on again here. Taking the flat brush again still. This is the smaller flat brush. And I'm just going to create what looks like a wee piece of like ground or land just coming up out of the water here. So again, block that in with the black paint. And yours doesn't have to be the same shape as mine again either. Pull the tape off, and there you go. So we're sticking with this flat brush, this smaller flat brush here. And what we're going to do now is put some more black paint on the brush, and then we're going to come in here to the right hand corner, and we're just going to cut across that edge and just block that in again with black paint. You don't have to worry too much here about the top edge of this, because we're going to come back here with the stipple brush in a wee while and do something else along that. So just fill that wee corner in nicely. If you're seeing the canvas colours through your black paint, you just need to maybe put another layer of that on there too. So that's that corner done. And then I'm going to take some more paint on my brush, and I'm going to move over to the left hand side here, and I'm going to just cut a wee shape in here. So I'm coming across, down. I've left it more flatter at one end here because I'm going to add in something else here in a wee second. Just fill that all in with the black paint too. So let's add a tree to the left hand side, and what I'm doing here is I'm turning the shape of how I'm using the brush. So if you just watch, I'm using it this way so I can draw upwards with it. You don't want to overload your brush here either with paint, so just curving that up from the black and taking that straight up. And you're not aiming here ever for perfectly straight lines, because trees aren't actually perfectly straight when you have a wee look at them. So it doesn't matter if your line isn't like, if it bends over slightly, that's okay too. Just wee rough line up, and then I'm going to fill in the middle of the tree here. Take that up. I'm getting a wee drag, as you can see, in the top bit of my tree here, so I'm just going to add some more water to my paint. Pull that back up again. Kind of just go over the top of that. And again, you don't have to worry too much about the edge of this. So I'm pulling up the trunk and pulling a wee branch off there to the right. And then I'm going to pull up the trunk again and take a branch off to the left. You don't have to worry too much, as I was saying there, about these branches, because we're going to be doing stuff over the top of that again in a wee minute anyway. So I'm now moving on to the detailing brush. This is the wee small one. And I'm going to put some more drips of water into my black paint with the brush and just give that a wee mix in. And then I'm going to add some smaller branches on here. So I'm always like moving up the branch and pulling out rather than just trying to paint it sticking straight out from one side. So if you move up like this first and then pull out to the side, up and out, up and out. Just adding some more water here. I'm getting that wee drag again. I think I'm sitting here in the sun, so my paint's drying pretty quickly. Up again. Just adding some more of these in, and you can just add as many of these in here as you like. And don't be fussing too much about these, as I said, because we're going to stipple over the top of this in a wee second. And maybe add a few here, and one here. Okay, so now we're going to take that hard bristle stipple brush, this one, and we're going to bounce that into the black acrylic paint, and then we're going to stipple over the top of the tree here, and this is going to give it the impression of having some foliage on it. And again, if you've painted some wee branches here that you're not quite keen on, you can sort of cover them up now with this wee bit of stipple over the top. Some more paint on my brush. You don't want to overload the paintbrush here either, so just tap it in a wee bit at a time. You can't take the paint off if you put too much on, if you get me, but you can always add more. Just going to finish this side here off. So now I'm going to come down to the two corners at the bottom, so this one here first, and I'm going to keep using the stipple brush here, and I'm just going to disturb that line along the bottom. And I don't want this to be perfectly straight stipple the whole way down because it won't look very natural, so I'm going to just do this a bit random. So I've bits raised up and bits down lower, as you can see. I'm going to take this over to the left hand side and then around the bottom of the tree here and just do the same thing down this side. And again, you'll see that I'm making it more random rather than having it down in a perfect straight line. Just take that across that wee bit in the middle. So we're going to go back to the detailing brush here and we're going to add in some grass. Now this does take a little bit of practice, and you can have a wee go at this on a piece of paper or something first with your paint. So taking the detailing brush again, I'm going to put some more water in. You want the paint, you want to keep the paint kind of more wetted up here, but not that it's running off your palette. It'll just help it move easier. So touch against the black at the bottom and just flick the brush up. When we're doing grass, we don't want to have the grass all like perfectly straight, because grass doesn't grow like that, especially this sort of wild grass. So as you can see, I'm flicking some bits left, some bits right, crisscrossing bits of it over, and just working that along the bottom. Take some over here around the tree, and then down this side too. Flick, flick, flick. You can give, as I said, give this a wee practice on a piece of paper or something first. And you don't have to do the grass, you could always have left that wee bit out, but I think it adds a nice wee bit of detail in. I'm going to put some here, but I'm going to do this smaller obviously because this wee piece is further away. Maybe a wee bit in round here. And then I'm going to stick with this detailing brush and I'm going to put some wee marks just in the front of the water here. So I'm just wiggling the brush side to side, just letting it make its own natural marks. Side to side. See, all a painting is really is just a big bunch of marks. And learning how to make the marks and which tools make the marks is like the secret really. Another wee few in down here. So all I'm doing is just mark making, just making some marks with the brush. Another couple of wee flicks. And that's basically almost it, but we're going to just add a wee bit more interest into our sky up here. So I'm taking the detail brush again and I'm using the stick end this time. So I'm going to dip that into some yellow paint. And then I'm just going to touch it against the canvas just up here just to create like a wee sun. Another wee bit, just adding enough paint on there. Cleaning, giving the end of the brush a wee wipe there, and then I'm just going to do like this, like a circle motion with it, you'll see here, just to make that a wee bit bigger. Just round and round. And then I'm going to put some yellow paint onto the bristle end of the brush. Still with this small brush, we're still with it. And then I'm going to come directly underneath and just wiggle the brush sideways with some yellow paint, just to create a wee bit of reflection on the water there, just under where that sun is. Just going to make that a wee bit wider. And then you can kind of leave it there, or you can add a wee bit more detail into the sky. So I'm staying with the yellow paint and I'm going back to that smaller flat brush here. Just giving it a wee clean. So lifting up some yellow paint here, and I'm just going to move the brush. I'm holding it like side on and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Some yellow paint on there, and what I'm doing is I'm moving the brush up and down as I go along. A wee bit of red there maybe. Spread those out a wee bit. Just putting a few wee clouds up in there, and then I'll just put a wee bit of yellow paint just back over the top of that one there again. And that's it. A simple 3 colour acrylic painting. And very effective. It's a lovely wee piece. Very, very simple to do. So if you'd like to maybe have a go at this, do send me some photographs. I'd love to see what you've done with it. And if you would like to check out any of my other classes or come and join my online Patreon community, there's